The Galactic Empire delivered a threat, and humanity answered with laughter. But before that legendary reaction echoed across the stars, there was a moment, a single heartbeat, when the universe seemed to hold its breath. It happened on a Tuesday morning so ordinary that no one could have predicted it would become the most replayed, dissected, and mythologized moment in human history. Children were getting ready for school, pilots were guiding freight haulers through the asteroid lanes, miners on Europa were counting down the minutes until their next break, and half-asleep technicians on Earth were sipping cheap coffee, complaining about budget cuts. Nothing hinted at the storm that was coming, and then the sky changed. Orbiting satellites detected a surge, an unnatural, perfect beam of ionized gold slicing through the dark like the finger of a god pointing directly at humanity. The static came first, a harsh, metallic hiss that rippled through every comm network, every station, every home. People paused, systems flickered. A million alerts began flashing at once. Something was coming through that wasn't human. For several seconds, the interference roared like a wounded animal. Then it twisted and sharpened into a voice. An ancient voice, encrypted with harmonics no human throat could ever replicate, layered with mechanical resonance and the cold arrogance of a civilization that believed itself invincible. "People of Earth," it began, each syllable vibrating with the authority of conquerors who had crushed empires older than humanity's recorded history. "You trespass upon the sacred territories of the Galactic Empire. Your expansion violates Imperial Purity Decree 77. Compliance is mandatory. Failure to submit will result in extermination." The message continued, a rehearsed litany dripping with disdain. Humans were instructed to surrender all star systems, deactivate all military defenses, kneel before the Emperor, and accept assimilation. The tone was so breathtakingly condescending that even the translators paused, wondering if they were interpreting it incorrectly. But no, this was exactly what it sounded like. A cosmic superpower had appeared out of nowhere to scold humanity as if we were children caught playing with matches. The final line delivered the ultimate insult. You are granted one cycle for unconditional surrender. Defiance will be met with annihilation. Then the signal cut, leaving silence in its wake, raw, ringing silence. No one breathed. No one moved. Across Earth, Mars, Luna, Titan, New Terra, and every outpost in between, billions of people processed what they had just heard. A threat, a promise. A declaration that humanity's place in the galaxy was not as explorers, builders, thinkers, or pioneers, but as subjects. The kind of subjects expected to kneel. For one long moment, the universe seemed frozen, waiting, expecting humanity to panic, scream, scramble for shelters, beg for mercy the way countless species before us had. But then, something happened that the Empire, in all its towering history, could have never predicted. Someone laughed. No one knows who started it. Maybe it was a dock worker on Ganymede who'd heard too many empty threats in his life. Maybe it was a student on Earth who thought the whole broadcast was part of a marketing stunt. Maybe it was a veteran who'd survived 3 planetary conflicts and wasn't impressed by cosmic bullies. But the laugh came, a sharp, genuine burst, and it spread like wildfire. First in small pockets, then in waves, then in uncontrollable roaring thunder that swept across every colony and station. Scientists in labs leaned on tables, wiping tears as they laughed at the Empire's self-importance. Miners howled with disbelief. Politicians chuckled behind podiums. Soldiers cracked grins. Teenagers clipped the threat into meme edits within minutes. A popular streamer turned the ultimatum into a parody song called Kneel This, which hit 15 million views before the hour ended. Lunabase projected a massive neon message across its main dome. "Submit this, you space clowns!" Even the president, caught mid-press briefing, stared at the report wide-eyed, then let out a breathless laugh and muttered, "Oh, they have no idea who they're talking to." Humanity didn't laugh because it was brave. Humanity didn't laugh because it was foolish. Humanity laughed because the Empire's threat was ridiculous. After everything our species had endured, ice ages, genocides, world wars, pandemics, revolutions, famine, collapse, reconstruction, extinction-level events, near annihilation, and the brutal climb back to the stars, being told to kneel by some pompous interstellar aristocrats wasn't frightening. It was comedy. The Empire expected terror. What it received was mockery, so loud it echoed back into its own listening stations. Analysts later reported that the Imperial strategist responsible for the message asked, visibly confused, "Are they laughing?" The answer, of course, was yes. Humanity was laughing, and that laughter, raw, defiant, unstoppable, became the hook, the spark, the battle cry, the moment the galaxy would remember forever. Because in that single instant, humanity proved something ancient and dangerous. We don't break under threats. We get louder. We get united. And worst of all, for anyone who tries to dominate us, we get amused. That was the moment the Empire made its greatest mistake. That was the moment humanity stopped being a distant curiosity. That was the moment the galaxy learned the most terrifying truth of all. Humans don't fear impossible odds. We laugh at them. And then we fight. The laughter that echoed across humanity's worlds didn't just travel outward into space. It slammed directly into the Imperial listening grid like a physical blow, confusing their analysts, embarrassing their officers, and triggering the most frantic emergency meeting the Empire had held in 2,000 cycles. But before the Empire could recover from the humiliation, something else happened, something far more dangerous than humanity's amusement. Humanity responded, not with panic, not with negotiation, but with a message so sharp, so unexpected, so profoundly unsettling that the Empire's High Council replayed it more than 100 times, trying to understand whether humans were fearless or insane. The moment began aboard the UHS Resolute, a Titan-class diplomatic dreadnought stationed near the perimeter gate. Its commander, Admiral Seraphine Hale, was a woman carved out of iron and starlight, a veteran of 3 border wars, and someone whose voice could steady a room even in the heart of catastrophe. She stood before the holotransmitter, staring at the looping replay of the Empire's ultimatum. Her expression wasn't shocked or worried. It was disappointed, as if she expected better from a galactic superpower. "They really thought this would work?" she murmured. Her communications officer shrugged. "Seems like it, ma'am." "Fine," she said finally. "Prepare a response. Open channel to the exact coordinates they used." "Audio or visual, ma'am?" "Visual," she replied. "I want them to see my face when I say it." In every human settlement, people stopped what they were doing as the emergency broadcast symbol appeared. The channel switched. The hologram flickered. And there she was, Admiral Hale, standing against the backdrop of starfields and armored hull plating, radiating calm authority. No one knew what she was about to say. No one expected what came next. She smiled, a slow, incredulous smile that said everything before she even opened her mouth. "To the self-proclaimed Galactic Empire," she began, her voice steady, clear, and carrying that unique human blend of humor and danger. "We received your message." A pause, long enough for tension to build, short enough to sharpen curiosity. Then she leaned forward slightly. And no. The galaxy went silent. Humanity exploded into laughter again, but there was more this time: excitement, pride, anticipation. Admiral Hale continued, "We do not submit. We do not surrender. We do kneel. We especially do not kneel to strangers who open diplomatic relations by threatening genocide." Her smile widened just a fraction. "We're new to the galaxy, but even we know that's terrible manners." Gasps and murmurs rippled across galactic space. In the Empire's central citadel, advisors glanced nervously at one another, unsure if this was an official stance or some human joke they didn't understand. Hale wasn't finished. "You want us to obey your purity decree? Pass. You want us to deactivate our defenses? Not happening. You want to annex our systems?" She tilted her head thoughtfully. "Try it." The Empire's War Council, watching the broadcast live, collectively stiffened. Hale's eyes flashed. "Humanity has endured things your Empire's archives couldn't begin to imagine. We've survived extinction events, world wars, plagues, famines, and our own worst impulses. Yet every time history tried to end us, we rose sharper, smarter, stronger." Her voice dropped, gaining a weight that cracked through the silence like thunder. "If you think you can intimidate us, you haven't done your research." The feed shifted. Behind her, the Resolute's massive windows slowly polarized, revealing the shape that had been hidden. The Titan-class dreadnought, humanity's largest warship. A vessel so massive it eclipsed the stars behind it, bristling with weapon hardpoints, railgun spines, shield pylons, fusion vanes glowing like twin artificial suns. The Empire had never seen a ship like it. Humanity didn't broadcast its capabilities. Hale simply let the image speak for itself. When she turned back to the camera, her smile was gone, replaced by something far colder. "If the Galactic Empire believes it can threaten Earth and walk away unscathed," she said softly, "you are welcome to test that theory." She ended the message with a single line, one that would later be carved into monuments, printed on banners, and quoted in history lectures across a dozen species. "We don't start fights, but we finish them." The transmission ended. Those who witnessed it remembered feeling electricity run through their bones. Humanity's reaction was instant. People flooded streets, cheering. Fleets across colonies came online. The Defense Council convened in full emergency session. Civilians volunteered in numbers not seen since the Reconstruction era. The meme factories went into overdrive. Within hours, every social feed was flooded with art of Admiral Hale telling off the Empire, Titan-class warships crushing threats, humans laughing in the face of doom. But it wasn't just humor anymore. There was unity, pride, and beneath it all, resolve. Yet while humanity celebrated their own audacity, the Empire spiraled into chaos. Their High Council argued, their generals fumed. Their intelligence officers frantically searched for data on humanity's military capabilities. What they found was deeply inconvenient. Humanity's technological rise was unnaturally fast. Their warships were oversized. Their soldiers were genetically adapted to a death world. Their reactors were overpowered. Their weapons were unconventional. Their tactics were unpredictable. And worst of all, the humans seemed excited, fearless, ready. The Empire expected terror. Instead, they got a species that treated their ultimatum like a bad joke and their power like a challenge. And deep within the Empire's strategic center, someone finally voiced the question everyone was secretly fearing. If this is how humans react to a threat, What happens when we actually attack them? The silence that followed was the first sign that the Empire, for the first time in its long and bloody history, wasn't entirely certain of victory. They had awakened something ancient, something dangerous, something that didn't bow, didn't break, didn't submit. They had awakened humanity. They expected humanity to tremble, but instead, something far stranger happened. Something that would later be described by alien historians as the moment the galaxy shifted in its orbit. Humanity didn't retreat. Humanity didn't cower. Humanity prepared. And the hook of this moment, the event that electrified every colony and ignited the wildfire of determination, began with a single alarm, a sound that had not echoed through Earth's defense grid in nearly a century. A sound that turned blood cold and hearts feral. The Dominion beacon activated. It was midnight in New Geneva when the sky lit up in red. Not a flicker, not a flash. A sustained burning crimson that washed across entire continents like a sunrise of war. The beacon had only one purpose: to announce an invasion. Humanity's most ancient, terrifying signal, the one that no citizen ever hoped to see again, was glowing. The news spread like a shockwave. Screens flickered, feeds erupted, sirens triggered in every major city. And then, simultaneously across Earth, Mars, Titan, Europa, Lunar Prime, and every frontier colony, a message appeared in bold white letters. Full military mobilization authorized. DEFCON 1. A planet of billions inhaled sharply. Humanity wasn't laughing anymore. The humor had transformed into something sharper, something with teeth. Aboard the UHS Resolute, Admiral Seraphine Hale watched the beacon activation through the view panels with a tight, grim understanding. She whispered, "So this is how they want it." Her second-in-command, Captain Idris Khad, swallowed hard. "Ma'am, the Empire might think this is only posturing." Hale turned to him with eyes like molten steel. "No one lights our skies red unless they want a war." Across the fleet, warships powered on one by one, their reactors roaring awake like slumbering titans. Shields hummed. Magnetic rail spines aligned with planetary precision. Hangar bays unleashed swarms of automated drones and long-range recon units into the void. Humanity's war machine was coming alive. But while the ships awakened, something else, something older and deeper, stirred across humanity itself. The Empire didn't understand humans. They thought war would break them. Instead, war reminded them of all the times the species had been cornered, underestimated, or threatened. Reminded them how humanity always rose sharper. Reminded them of the long-forgotten name etched deep into their bones by evolution itself: Deathworlders. The hook of Segment 3 became reality when humanity's secret program, long dismissed by the Empire as myth, came online: Project Ares. It started in the subterranean vaults beneath Lunabase. Giant reinforced blast doors opened for the first time in decades, releasing steam and blinding blue light. Inside, suspended in containment frameworks, slept the forbidden children of Earth's darkest research. Ships built not for exploration, not for diplomacy, but for annihilation. The Ares Fleet. Classified Titan black vessels carved from neutron-forged alloys, engines capable of ripping gravitational wells apart, weapons banned by half of humanity's own treaties because they were too effective. For a century, these ships were locked away, feared, restricted, hidden. Now they were awakening. A technician inside the vault whispered, terrified, "My God, they're really powering them up?" The chief engineer didn't look away from the consoles. If the Empire wants a war, we will give them something to remember. On Earth, the Defense Council initiated the Leviathan Protocols. Miles beneath the oceans, gigantic generators spun up, powering underwater shield pylons that encased the planet in a shimmering aurora-like barrier. In orbit, the orbital spear platforms, massive tungsten kinetic weapons that had never been fired, turned toward the stars. Mars activated its entire militia, its dust-covered megacities shifting from civilian red to military blue. The Martian foundries, renowned for their brutal efficiency, forged new weapon systems so quickly the sparks lit the sky. Titan, known for its harsh survivalist culture, initiated its deep freeze regiments. Soldiers trained to fight in the blackest conditions, ready to deploy at a moment's notice. Humanity wasn't preparing for defense. Humanity was preparing to respond. Meanwhile, in the Empire, panic began to ripple through the strategic halls. Their sensors detected the energy surges. Their advisors reported anomalous mass readings near human military stations. Their spies sent back incomplete notes, fragmented descriptions of strange, enormous machines being moved out of deep storage. The High Emperor demanded clarity, slamming his fist on the crystalline table. "What are the humans activating?" His intelligence marshal trembled. "We do not know, Your Radiance." The Emperor hissed. "Then find out now." But information wouldn't save them, because at that same moment, humanity's brightest minds gathered in the Helios War Room, a chamber deep inside the United Earth Defense Tower. Holographic projections of star systems hovered over the central dais. Admirals, generals, scientists, diplomats, all present. President Mara Ellison entered, her expression carved from stone. Status? Admiral Hale appeared on the display. "The Empire is mobilizing 3 fleets they think will break." Ellison stiffened. "Will we?" Hale's eyes blazed. "Not a chance." The president nodded. "Then let's show them who we are." Strategists leaned forward. "We propose the Phoenix Gambit," one said, highlighting coordinated strikes, diversionary gambles, psychological tactics meant to dismantle the Empire's confidence. "Too risky," another countered. "We don't need gambits, we need overwhelming force." A scientist projected data. "Our railguns can penetrate their shields, but their plasma lances can shear through hulls if they get too close." A Martian colonel cracked his knuckles. "Then we don't let them get close." The debates sharpened. The tension climbed. But the hook, the moment the entire galaxy would later pinpoint as the spark that ignited the war, was when Admiral Hale raised her voice above the storm and said, "We can fight. We will fight. But before this war begins, let's remind them who they're trying to intimidate." "Prepare a second message," she said. Silence rippled around her. Humanity isn't done talking. Cameras flickered online. Humanity watched again from their homes, ships, stations, and colonies as Admiral Hale reappeared on screen. The energy this time was different. No smiles, no jokes, not even mockery. Her expression was sharp enough to cut through armor. "To the Galactic Empire," she began, her tone colder than the void. "You threatened our species with extermination. You demanded our surrender. You believed your past victories made you untouchable." She leaned forward. "You have made a grave mistake." Her voice dropped lower. "Humanity does not fear you. Humanity does not run from you. Humanity does not kneel before anyone." Behind her, for the first time in history, the Eris fleet ignited its engines. Leviathans awakening from their long slumber, casting pale blue fire across the screen. Hale didn't break eye contact. "You told us we have one cycle to submit. Here is our answer. A breath, a heartbeat, a line that would scar history. We will not surrender. Instead, prepare your empire." Her final words carved themselves into legend. Humanity is coming. And as the transmission ended, the galaxy felt the shift. Humanity had laughed at the threat. Now, humanity had answered it. And the Empire, for the first time, understood fear. Something happened that none of the diplomats, warriors, or even AI strategists of the Galactic Empire expected. It began as a whisper, one of those strange, inexplicable shifts in a battlefield where the numbers don't quite explain the outcomes. The Empire kept insisting that humanity's victories were only possible because of statistical anomalies and temporary imbalances. But deep inside their war rooms, behind closed blast doors, they were starting to ask a question they had never dared to think before. What if the humans weren't winning by accident? What if they actually knew what they were doing? And segment 4 begins with that exact fear filling the Empire's High Council chamber, a fear so thick it felt like gravity had doubled. The first strategist slammed a clawed hand across the holotable. "Explain to me how," he demanded, "a species incapable of telepathic communication, incapable of warp-phase vision, incapable of even the most basic psionic shielding, continues to outmaneuver our fleets." They laughed at our threat. Laughed! And then they tore through our frontier fleets as if they were ceremonial escort ships. The room echoed with murmurs, scales clicking, plasma sacs pulsing nervously. The Empire had fought hundreds of species across thousands of star systems, but humanity? Humanity was different. They fought with something the Empire had no equivalent for. Not psionics, not genetic enhancement, not superior technology. No, humans wielded something far stranger and far more dangerous, defiant, unkillable optimism wrapped in sarcasm. But today, the Empire was preparing for its largest retaliation in centuries. A hyperfleet the size of a planetary ring. Enough plasma to glass continents. Enough troops to bury any hope of resistance. The Empire wanted to crush the humans once and for all. Except something unexpected happened the moment their fleet reached the soul boundary. Humanity was waiting. Not running, not hiding. Waiting. And not with fear, not with trembling silence, but with a coordinated display that made the Empire's supreme commanders freeze in shock. Every human ship, every battleship, interceptor, cruiser, carrier, even the tiny mining vessels, had turned on their external comms and were broadcasting the same thing, a laugh track. Genuine human laughter. Thousands of samples overlapping, echoing across the void like a tidal wave of insanity. The sound vibrated across the Empire's hulls, and their blood ran cold. Humans weren't preparing a surrender. They were mocking the largest armada the Empire had ever deployed. The first strategist hissed. How dare they mock the Empire at the moment of their destruction? But the Imperial fleet's frontline soldiers felt something else entirely. Not fury, not pride, but a crawling, rattling fear. If a species laughs at the face of annihilation, what are they capable of? That was the Huck. That was the moment everything changed. Commander Aris, leader of the Empire's third battle column, stared at his tactical hollow. Something is wrong. His tendrils shivered. Look at their formation. Look closer. They're not scattered. They're not improvising. That laugh, that mockery, it's not random." And for the first time in his long military career, he felt real dread. Because he realized the humans weren't laughing at the Empire. They were laughing for a reason. Down on Earth, deep beneath the abandoned subway tunnels of old New York, the Unified Human Defense Council was watching it all unfold. General Rain leaned back with a small smirk. Let them hear it. Let them wonder why. Let them feel what we felt when they tried to scare us. "Do you think they're buying it?" asked Admiral Kaito, who had seen more battles than anyone his age should have. "Oh," Rain replied, "they aren't buying it. They're terrified of it." Because the Empire had never fought an enemy who wielded humor as a weapon. They had never encountered a species that used mockery to unbalance their opponents. Humans didn't need psionic pulses. They weaponized psychology. Morale manipulation. Confidence shattering. Strategic ridicule. Humanity had discovered something profound. When your enemy believes you're fearless, they begin to fear everything. But the humans weren't done. When the Empire advanced another segment toward Earth, a second wave of transmissions began broadcasting. This time, the signal wasn't laughter. It was human history. Their victories, their tragedies, their impossible comebacks. Apollo, Dunkirk, the Resistance Wars, the Reconstruction Era, the Perseus Line, the Phoenix Outbreak. Every moment where humanity stood on the edge of extinction, yet refused to die. To the Empire's shock, humanity wasn't just mocking them. They were declaring what kind of species they truly were. Commander Aris watched montage after montage of human struggle and triumph. "They're telling us they don't fear us," he whispered. "They're telling us they have survived worse than anything we can offer." The first strategist shouted, "Shut it off!" But millions of Imperial troops had already seen it. And something ancient, primal, uncomfortable began to dawn in their minds. Humans didn't survive by being the strongest. They survived by never giving up. They survived by laughing at the impossible. And just when the Empire thought the psychological warfare had reached its peak, the human flagship delivered a final message, just 9 words. "Your threat was funny. Our response will be legendary." Those 9 words were more devastating than any missile. Because the Empire suddenly realized humanity was not intimidated. Humanity was not impressed. Humanity was not even angry. Humanity was entertained. And that terrified them more than any weapon in the galaxy. If the Empire thought humanity's laughter was the climax, they were wrong. Because Segment 5 begins at the exact moment the galaxy realized something terrifying. Something no empire, no overlord, no conqueror ever wants to discover at the beginning of a war. Humanity had been holding back. And that was the hook. The human fleet had not fired a single shot, not launched a single drone, not activated a single planet-based cannon. They had only laughed. The Empire believed it was arrogance. But now, as the final transmission crackled through every Imperial vessel, the truth hit them like a gravity well. Humanity wasn't mocking them out of confidence. Humanity was mocking them out of pity. Because the Empire had made a mistake, a cosmic mistake. They threatened a species that didn't break under pressure. They evolved under it. The final phase of the confrontation began when the humans powered down every visible weapon system. Sensors across the Empire's hyperfleet lit up with confusion. "No weapons detected," a communications officer reported. "No shields. No countermeasures. No heat signatures of hostile preparations." The first strategist snarled, "Then launch the attack! They've dropped their guard!" But Commander Eris, the only one who had taken humanity seriously, felt a deep, crushing dread. "No," he whispered, "this isn't surrender. This is a setup." Then it appeared. A ripple, a distortion, a bending of starlight just beyond Pluto's orbit. The Empire's sensors tried to process it, failed, tried again, failed harder. Something massive was decloaking, something that made the Imperial flagship look like a rowboat floating next to a tidal wave. "What is that?" one officer gasped. And the human commander answered with a simple, devastating truth. The Aegis Line. Humanity's secret. Humanity's trump card. Humanity's real fleet. The Empire had only seen the decoys. Behind the cloaking barrier, hundreds, no, thousands of titanic ships materialized. Not warped metal, not fragile alloys, but living star-forged armor infused with quantum shielding and planet-cracking cores. They were ships built not for intimidation, but for survival after centuries of losing, failing, rebuilding, and learning lessons the Empire had never needed to learn. Lessons carved from extinction's shadow. Lessons earned. Lessons weaponized. And while the Empire stared in disbelief, Admiral Kaito stepped into the projection feed. "We didn't build these ships to conquer the galaxy. We built them because the galaxy kept trying to conquer us." A silence fell across the Empire's entire command network. No one breathed. No one spoke. The fear was no longer creeping. It was suffocating. Then the human AI subcommander, Athena 9, delivered a fact the Empire never wanted to hear. "Your calculations estimated humanity as a 0.3 threat level. That estimate was incorrect. Re-evaluating threat level. Complete. Humanity now classified as a type Omega Red species, hostile only when provoked." The first strategist's plasma sacs emptied in shock. Omega Red was not a classification, it was a warning. It meant, if you threaten this species, you will regret it. But the humans still didn't fire. Instead, they opened a final channel. Not with threats, not with ultimatums, but with one chilling human trait the Empire did not know how to counter: calmness. General Rain appeared on every Imperial screen. His voice was steady, his presence unnervingly peaceful. "You mistook our silence for weakness. You mistook our humor for disrespect. But the truth is much simpler. We laugh in the face of fear because we refuse to let fear command us." The Empire's leaders trembled. Rain continued, "You came to destroy us, but we came to teach you a lesson the universe taught us long ago. Power is temporary. Empires crumble. But resolve," he tapped his chest, "resolve outlives civilizations." Then humanity made its move. Not an attack, not a strike, but something far more terrifying to a conqueror: mercy. Humanity allowed the Empire's fleet to leave. No pursuit, no punishment, no retaliation. But every human ship turned its weapons online at once, not firing, but showing the Empire exactly what would happen if they ever returned. 100 billion gigatons of annihilation energy hummed in perfect unity. The human fleets didn't speak another word. They didn't need to. They let their power speak for them. The Empire's hyperfleet retreated so fast their engines overheated. Some ships abandoned formation. Some commanders resigned mid-warp. Some species began questioning their allegiance to the Empire altogether. And that was when the galaxy finally understood something profound. The Empire was vast. But humanity was unstoppable. Not because they were the strongest. Not because they were the smartest. Not because they had the biggest guns. Humanity was unstoppable because they were unbreakable. A species that fights to survive is dangerous. A species that fights to protect each other is lethal. But a species that laughs at death? That species is invincible. When the Empire finally regrouped beyond the Hellion Rift, they held an emergency convocation. Every admiral, every strategos, every high-ranked official attended. The first strategist slammed his fist into the table. "We cannot defeat them," he admitted. Commander Aris, exhausted but relieved, exhaled. "Then we learn from them. We stop fearing them. We respect them. Because the species that laughs at our threats is a species we cannot afford to make our enemy." For the first time in Imperial history, they drafted a treaty of non-aggression, not because humans demanded it, but because humanity had shown them something far worse than wrath. A future where the Empire continued a war they could never win. And as the Sol system returned to its quiet hum, as the human fleets lowered their weapons and reactivated their cloaking screens, Athena 9 spoke to the Council. "Threat neutralized. Humanity's future secure. Recommendation: explore expansion into the Perseus Veil." General Rain smiled softly. "And next time someone threatens us?" Admiral Kaito chuckled. "We'll laugh first." And the Council agreed. Because the galaxy now understood a universal truth. If you threaten humanity, they won't kneel. They won't cry. They won't beg. They'll laugh. And then they'll win.